Gibbs is here to answer your questions about your car. I'm trying to get the video thing going here. I think it's working now. And there you are on the picture. There's my thumb in the way, or my ring finger. Going, Matt, how you doing?
Good, Larry. How are you?
Wait a minute. Let me get everything on here. Dude, it doesn't pay to get up and get a drink of water. That's what happens. How's everything? You know, one thing is we don't need snow tires. I mean, look at all the snow that's coming up north, right? Snow tires and chains, don't need any of that, right?
I'll tell you.
But you lived up there for a while, right?
Well, I was 4 when I moved here. So.
Okay. Do you remember?
I remember snow. I mean, I've taken a couple trips to go see snow.
And what do you do for people who say that's where they're heading, though? Maybe that's the better question. Say, well, I'm going to an area where there's going to be snow, likely. What do you do to their car to make it so that they are not breaking down, not getting stuck?
Well, I mean, we check all the basic stuff. You always got to start with the basic stuff. But one of the things that we do is like windshield washer fluid. See, I learned this one the hard way. The windshield washer fluid that we sell in Florida doesn't do real well up north.
Because it freezes.
Because it freezes. and I found out how important it is to have some.
And then it'll break that plastic container, right?
Well, if it's over, it could, but for me, it didn't break mine. But I had to pull off the side of the road and use snow to clean my windshield, and that wasn't cool.
So what do they use up north?
Well, they have a alcohol content in it to keep it from freezing. So I always have a bottle of like windshield washer fluid that doesn't freeze.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know another thing, and anybody who's lived up north knows this, that when salt is put down on the roads, it can wreak havoc on your body, on the body of the car.
Yeah. So definitely get it when you're done. When we came back, I made sure that we washed things really, really good.
You can always tell the cars, too, that are coming down from a snowy area.
Yeah, from up north,
And in fact, if it's a cold day and it's snowing, you'll see them on the interstate with still snow on their hood.
Yeah, absolutely. When we had to go up, it was last March when my father-in-law passed away, and we got there, and there was supposedly this really bad storm coming in, and we're driving up the interstate, and I'm like, I don't see no bad storm coming up. Well, we got to their house in Virginia at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By 4 o'clock it started. The storm moved in. And it snowed for like 3 days straight.
Oh, no.
And I remember I have a picture on my phone. I went out to my wife's car, and we turned the key on, and it was minus 4 degrees. That was cold.
That's cold, yeah.
That was cold. And then we're driving down the road, and I see all these windshield wipers. You know how you can lift them off the windshield?
Yeah.
Well, I never knew why they were. I'm like, why are all these windshield why do they? Well, I found out why.
Why?
Because this way it don't stick to the glass.
Oh, I see. They just lift them off. I never knew that. I never saw that before.
Yeah, there was everywhere, and I'm like, wow, they're way smarter than me.
It's way smarter than you thought they. That's what you wanted to say, right? Oh, I thought they were dumb. All right, we do have a phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Matt.
Yeah, good morning, Matt.
Morning.
Hey.
Hey, speaking of salt and cars, when I lived up there in the Milwaukee area for all my life, when I had a house built up there, I had a drain put in the garage, and in the wintertime, I'd pull a car in the garage, close the garage door, and let the garage door warm up a little bit, and I'd hose that car down, and that would all drain away. But if you didn't do that, boy, you could wreck a car in a matter of a couple of years. You could see the disaster on the paint and on the side and everywhere else.
Yeah, I could see. We get cars come in that were from up north. I don't even know how them guys even work on them cars.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and living down here in Florida. Now, my dad always had pretty good sized boats in that when he lived down in St. Pete down there, and we used to go out in the Gulf fishing that. But when we come back from fishing out in the Gulf, he'd put that baby up on divots. He'd hose that boat down too, because salt can do a number on your boat.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
See, the reason I called is I follow sprint car pretty close. I tape all the Lucas racing in the Middle West. Of course, that was this past summer and that. But I yesterday, because there's no football or NASCAR or nothing to watch on TV, I go back to my tape and watch the sprint cars, which are really great to watch. But they were talking. They had a break in the program, and they were talking about the sprint car. And I didn't realize that they don't have transmissions. It has what they call like a direct drive.
Yeah, we're talking about the wing sprint cars?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have a transmission. It's a transmission that is how do I say this? There's like no clutch in it, but you can still change. You can change 2 gears, and it is a direct drive. That's why you see them when they get going. They have to push start them because they're already engaged in the forward motion.
Huh.
Yeah, those racing cars, they have they're up to 800 horsepower, huh?
Oh yeah, they're crazy. You ought to
Yeah.
when they come to Ocala, you ought to watch them. They come to Ocala, a couple times a year.
I was going to say, I'm waiting for them to come here to our local track because everything is frozen up north right now, and now they run the South Circuit, the Outlaws and the other groups and stuff. So I'm waiting for them to come over here to the Ocala racetrack. It's really fun watching them, and especially I'm so dang glad they turned that track back to dirt.
Yeah. If you go watch them, bring you an umbrella. You'll need it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and a second pair of shoes because you got to put the ones you were in the trunk and put new clean shoes on the drive home. Otherwise, you're gonna have a mess in your car.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
The phone number is 622-9622 if you want to speak to Matt, ask him a question about your car. Maybe you've got a noise that you want to ask about or some of the services that Matt provides. And you also have Crossroad Auto Sales.
Right.
Am I saying it right?
Yes.
Crossroad. Because there's an S on the thing you gave me. Did you notice?
No, yeah, and that has been corrected.
I try so hard to get the name right. So have you had any new cars come in lately that you can talk about?
I think I don't know if we've had any new. I'm out looking now. Now in our world, in my world of buying cars, it becomes very difficult to buy cars.
Why?
Because tax time is upon us.
Oh.
People are getting their tax money.
Oh.
The prices of cars start from my end, going to auctions and dealers and wholesalers. They start jacking up the price because everybody is really gearing up for this time of year. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this is a good time to not use your tax money to buy a car.
No, it's a good time to buy. It's for the consumer to buy.
Oh, I
it's
see.
It's not
but
a
for
good
you.
time for dealer to buy, although there's a lot of dealers that are just going to pay the more money. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, okay.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
People will be calling me here in a few weeks saying, "Are you out of business? Did you go out of business? Did you go out of?" No, I didn't go out of business. I'm just not going to go out and spend an extra.
So they boost it because they know people have more money right now.
Supply and demand,
Yeah.
and all the dealers are right.
Oh, wow.
It jacks up the price of the cars, which means if I have to buy the car for more money, I have to sell it for more money. So now is almost the ideal time because everybody's got the cars that they have that they didn't spend the extra money on. So, but I am this week. I'm going out looking because we've sold several cars in the last couple of weeks. So I need to start replacing some of what we sold if I can buy them at the right price.
Is there anything that is just not worth fixing? I'm going to tell you specifically. I have two. What you don't call them cigarette lighters anymore, but I'll just call them that. You know what I mean? The two outlets.
Right.
Neither one of them work.
Okay.
I don't know why, but they just don't.
Okay.
Is that just not even worth it to worry about? I mean, I would use it to charge my phone.
Right.
Okay.
Are we talking about your car?
Yeah.
If I call up the dealer and say, "Hey, we need we call it an accessory power outlet."
Okay. Right.
If you need one, I'll get a price from the dealer and see how much they are. If it's not stupid, and it's worth fixing. If let's say it's I don't want to pay that much money to fix it. Well, then let's go to AutoZone or one of the parts houses and let's just get one. Let's get a universal one. We wire it in, and we can make that work.
Oh, okay.
So that's not a great experience. But yes, I had to go back to the question you asked. Does it come to a point where this car is not? and I had this gentleman come in, and he brought in his 1993 Cadillac Sedan DeVille. Okay, this car looked like it'd been through World War III. I mean, this car just needed
That's pretty bad.
It's bad.
A future war.
A future war. Okay.
A future war.
It already happened.
We hope never happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And we just didn't know it happened.
Yeah.
But this car, it was beyond the point. I did everything in my power to convince this guy not to fix this car. Now I get paid to fix the car.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
And I even said, okay, I need at least $2,000 just to get started. Just bring me $2,000 and we'll get started. And I thought at that point he's going to say, no, we're not going to do that. But he didn't. He came in with the $2,000. And I'm like, okay.
Well, he must love the car.
He loves the car. But here, at the end of the day, the money that he was going to spend on this car, I told him I had a Cadillac out on the lot. I drove it up in the front. And I said, you can buy this car outright, tax tag title, buy this Cadillac right here for cheaper. And this one is a 2002. This one was a mom and pop car. It was they were my customers that.
Right.
And I said, you're going to spend 3 times more the money to fix this 93 Cadillac with 250,000 miles on it.
And
I said, just go take this one for a drive.
did he?
Yeah.
And did he buy the car?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
But I could not see him spending probably, I would say $6,000 to $10,000 fixing this 1993 car that when he got all done with it is only going to be worth $1,500. It just doesn't make sense to me, and I try to get the customer to see it. Now, the thing that he loved about that old Cadillac was the car he took his wife out on their first date.
Oh, so did he keep the car anyway, even though
he traded it in, and he said, I know how I'm going to fix this dilemma I have. And I said, how's that? And he said, well, I'll just take my wife out in this car tonight.
There you go.
And I said, there you go.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's but I couldn't. I was really struggling with this.
That's funny. Well, because you see, this is just another illustration of your honesty. I mean, you don't want to take somebody's money for something that's not going to be worth it for them.
Exactly. I mean, some people do it because
Sure.
they don't want to get the debt. I can pay for this. It's paid for. I'm not putting myself.
But you're going to pay for a fix-up as well.
Right, but they see the value in fixing it up over buying another car. I can see it to a certain point. There's a line drawn in the sand,
Right,
and I feel like it's my responsibility to look at the big picture here. Look at the whole thing. People call me up all the time, say, "Hey, how much does it cost to put an engine in this car?" And they give me all this stuff, and I'm like, "Is this car really that important to you?" Oh no, it's my transportation. Don't do this deal. It's not worth it. You're going to spend this much money. As soon as you're done, it's worth this much money. Don't do that to yourself.
Matt, we need to take a little break. The phone lines are open if you want to ask Matt a question about your own car or perhaps a future car. There might be a car on Matt's lot over at Crossroad Auto Sales that will be in your your driveway soon. So call Matt and ask about that as well. We'll take a little break and be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. I have a lot of clouds and a shower or two this morning. Then clouds will break for sunshine this afternoon. It'll be a windy, cooler day with a high in the 60s. Clear, breezy, and chilly tonight, 38 to 42. Tomorrow, partly sunny and breezy, high 60 to 64. On Wednesday, mostly sunny and quite cool, high 58 to 62. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Ooh, a xylophone. Sounds dreamy.
Yeah, they don't make them like this anymore, Robin. I'm shipping it to the Musical Historical Society.
And you're packing it like that?
What, this won't work?
Why don't you take it to the Personal Service Center at the corner of Northeast 25th Avenue and 24th Street in Ocala? Just look for the yellow signs.
Great idea. That'll save me a lot of time.
The passing of time.
Personal Service Center makes sending packages easy.
And quick, call 789-6683.
For the Personal Service Center.
20 minutes after 10 o'clock, Matt Gibbs is here. This is Auto Repair with Personal Care, and he does that personal care over at Sunrise Automotive. We'll give you the address and phone number, etc., in just a little bit. Right now, Matt, you do have a listener calling in. Good morning. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air with Matt.
Thank you. I met Matt maybe a month ago. I heard his compelling story on the radio with his son, and I just felt the need to go over there and introduce myself and meet with him. I have a quick question. I saw a BMW X5. It was 2003.
Okay.
For $7,000. It had 160,000 miles on it. Is that a good deal?
What year did you say it was? A 2003?
It's a 2003. It looks like it's in good condition. It had 160,000 miles on it, going for $7,000.
Well, just to be honest, and that's one thing I try to always be on the show. I'm not a huge BMW fan. One of the biggest reasons is the cost of repairs. It's very there's a higher cost to operate that vehicle than most. So that is just something that I always try to let people understand and let them be aware. There's not as many places to get those things serviced because of the amount of money it takes to service them. I'm very limited on my information, computer stuff, and my own technical resources on European cars. So I just try to always explain that to customers just so that they kind of get an idea of where I'm coming from on it. There are several really good shops here in town, and I refer to people there all the time. But with the one that you're asking me about, the X5 with 160,000 miles, I'm punching it into my computer as we speak.
I see that, yeah.
$6,000, $6,000 to $7,000 is basically a wholesale price for that car, depending on the dealer and who's buying it. That's not something I'd go to the auction and buy. That's not a car that I pursue, because I would only pursue cars that I feel comfortable servicing, working on, and getting ready. But the market on that car in our region is anywhere from $3,600 to about $7,200, just depending on, that's the variation, and it really depends on the quality and condition of the vehicle. So I would say that if the car is all there, if it's a nice car, it's an outstanding looking interior exterior car, it would definitely be something worth considering if that's the car that you're looking for.
Okay. And I also believe that when I saw you, I was asking you, because I have a Mitsubishi truck, and I have 150,000 miles, and I was asking you, do you think I should keep the truck and just drive it till the wheels fall off?
Well, that truck is the same truck as a Dodge Dakota.
That's right.
It's the same identical truck. It just has Mitsubishi stuff on it. If that truck is giving you good service, it doesn't need anything. It's a nice truck. It's paid for. Look at all the variables, and I'm a firm believer in drive them till they're done. That's what we do with our cars. Me and my wife, we drive something until basically it's just time to get another car. And
that's me too.
And that's Larry too. I can tell you that's Larry too.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, that's a tough pill to swallow, to hear the mechanics say you don't like that type of car. But do you mean you personally don't like working on that type?
I don't like working on that European cars.
And you do have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Matt.
Hey, this is Gary. How you doing this morning, Matt?
Hey, Gary. How are you?
Pretty good. I got a question to ask, and I over the last couple of years, I've had basically the same mechanic. I have like two, because both of them are independent mechanics. They have shop, and if one of them's out of town or whatever, then I use the other one. I got one guy local I use for wrecker service. If I need wrecker, get them to do that. But it just seems like I keep getting a bad taste in my mouth. And these are good guys, and I don't talk bad about anybody because things do happen.
Yes.
But a couple years ago, I took my wife's vehicle, dropped a timing belt on it, and she was scheduled for brain surgery like 2 weeks later. And I didn't want to spend the money because we were trying to hoard as much money as we could because we knew she was going to be out of work for a couple months. So I went in, I fixed the car. When I went in there, the air conditioner was working. So in the next week or whatever, she went in for brain surgery. We had the car back, and then we didn't really drive it for a couple months because that was in the spring of 2012. Then when we got ready to start driving it, air conditioner didn't work. And it just seems like every time I take something to a mechanic, it doesn't. When something else is broke, when I get it back, and I wonder if that's just acceptable thing, or maybe I should try a different mechanic.
Well, here again, I'm gonna be truthful. Sometimes when you're working on something, and especially if you're focused in a certain direction, let's look at this car and just say we're going to put a timing belt on it. What do we have to take off in order to get to the timing belt? We may or may not have to interfere with maybe a few electrical connections or something, maybe to the compressor, or we might have had to move the accumulator out of the way, or the dryer, or something, and we may have inadvertently maybe disconnected something or pulled a wire or something like that. So these things do happen. It's just something that happens. One of the things that we try to do the best that we can is if we're doing something like that, something major like that, is just kind of that's why I have a process where one of my guys will drive it, and then I have someone else drive the car, and just try the air conditioning and the turn signal and just make sure. But sometimes it was, yes, I'm sorry. We disconnected this. We had to replug this in. You're good to go. And sometimes it's just a fluke thing. We may have touched something that maybe like an AC hose. Maybe we had to we had to move the AC hose, take this bracket off in order to get to the timing belt, and just because we touched it, now the Freon has started to leak a little bit, and 2 months down the road, it's not working right.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, and that's you got right to the point. I don't mind that, but it's like right now I'm driving a '94 Ford Explorer, and I think I'm gonna bring it down to you. It needs a valve cover gasket on the driver's side, which I'm assuming, just looking at, I'm not a mechanic, but I do know basic mechanics, and it looks like you have to take the throttle body loose to get to the bolts to do the valve cover. And I imagine it's best to do both valve covers at the same time. But it needs a tune-up, and it needs an oil change. And so I'm thinking about bringing it down there to you and let you look at it and see if you can give me a quote. But, I just hate to go down and spend $250 or whatever, and then 2 weeks later it's something else. Because I've just put a new timing belt and some other stuff on this, and a water pump with one of my other mechanics. But I'd like to give you guys a wing ding and see what y'all can do.
Well, bring it on down. Let's wing dang on it.
Where's your shop address?
It's 1800 Northwest 10th Street.
All right, very good. I go by there all the time. I'll bring it down there and let you have a look at it.
All righty, sir. Come on down.
Bye.
Yeah, perfect. That's a great question, because that's where we need to be right now, giving your address and phone number. What's your phone number?
My phone number is 352-690-1993.
And I would just say this, that Matt is our mechanic because there's one common denominator: honesty. He will be honest with you, and I'm sure if there is a secondary problem that was an inadvertent removal of a switch or something, I'm sure you'll put it right back in once you
make it. That's when you find out how good someone is when you got an issue to deal with.
My goodness, we went fast, didn't we? All right, thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Larry.
Call us if you need the Matt's contact information repeated. We can do that for you over the phone, of course. This is WOCA Ocala. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. The National Weather Service calls it potentially historic. A blizzard warning in effect for the Northeast. In the New York City area, expected to get around 2 feet of snow. Officials are advising people to stay home.
If they say stay home,